2024. Hi, my name is Deanna Ramos. I'm an admissions counselor for CSU Stanislaus. And today we're going to be hosting a student panel where you'll have an opportunity to listen to some of our Stan State students. They're going to share their own college experiences and share some tips for success. But before I go ahead and introduce my co-host, I did want to start this live stream off by saying congratulations to you guys, the students that put in the time and the effort that it took into being admitted to Stan State. And to the parents that may be watching as well, congratulations to you as well for holding it down, providing support and encouragement along the way. We at Stan State, we are committed to 2020, right? It's been full of unprecedented change, but what hasn't changed is our commitment to our students. At Stan State, we have a campus community full of professionals dedicated to helping you thrive. And today, we've pulled some of your questions through IG and our website, but please feel free to drop your questions in the chat and we will try to answer them live. But before we start our student panel, it's important that I go through our giveaway rules real quick. We'll be giving away 2 Stan State sweatshirts. There's no purchase necessary for entry, but entries are limited to newly admitted Stan State students. Terms and conditions do apply. You can click the link in our video description if you want all of the college rules. In no way is YouTube affiliated with today's giveaway. It's just something cool that we wanted to do to hook you up with some gear, hopefully so you can rock, get your shoes off and whatnot by the time campus returns. But go ahead and to enter our first giveaway, go ahead and comment and let us know what city you're in, and that way we can know where you're pulling up from. Please keep in mind that there is 1 entry per viewer, and please Stan State newly admitted students only. But with that, I also want to plug our Instagram handle real quick at Stan Admissions. Also, if you're watching via live stream through YouTube, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe. But without further ado, let's go ahead and introduce my co-hosts, our student warriors. Let's go ahead and start this off. I will introduce Lauren first.
Hey guys, my name is Lauren Avila. I am from Houston, a little town about 15 minutes away from campus. I recently graduated with my bachelor's in liberal studies and a concentration in math. So I will be entering the multiple subject teaching credential program this fall, and I'm super excited about it. I've actually worked in admissions and outreach, so on campus, for about 4 years now as a receptionist and also as a university ambassador. Can't wait to talk to you guys some more.
All right, thanks, Lauren. Okay, with that said, let's go ahead and introduce Stephanie.
Hello, everyone. My name is Stephanie, and I'm originally from Los Baños, about 45 minutes from Turlock. I am majoring in social sciences with emphasis in psychology, communication, and gender studies, and I do hope to become a high school counselor. So I do have to get my master's for that. I also have been working in the AOS office, now going into my 4th year because I am a 4th year student. But I'm excited for what we're going to talk about today. Thank you.
That's what's up. Okay, let's go ahead and introduce Jessica.
Hi everyone, my name is Jessica. I am from Patterson, California, which is only about 30 minutes away from Turlock. I am a criminal justice major with a concentration in juvenile justice. I am also going into my 4th year here at Stanislaus State. I hope to answer any questions you guys may have, so feel free to drop some questions. I also work for the AOS office. I've been there for a little bit over a year, almost a year and a half. So like I said, please feel free to drop your questions. We're excited to answer them for you guys.
Thanks, Jessica. All right, and then our final guest is Josue. Josue, can you please tell us a little bit about yourself?
Hello guys, my name is Josue Perez. I also live about 25 minutes away from Stanislaus State. I commute there. I'm currently going to be a junior this coming up semester during fall. I've been working for the financial aid office for it's going to be about 2 years now during winter. I'm also an athlete at school. I participate in cross country. My major is business administration, a concentration in operation management. I'll also be able to help you out with any questions you have about any of the topics that I'm kind of knowledgeable in.
Cool. All right. Thank you guys for sharing your brief introductions. With that said, I think it's a good time to go ahead and get into our questions a little bit. So we'll start with number 1. What are some fun studying tips? I can go ahead and kind of just take a lead on that. I mean, studying and fun, that's a good balance, right? But I think having a good playlist, something that motivates you, is always helpful to kind of get your gears going. In addition to start making connections early with your classmates and your peers, aside from just having to being required to like be together with group projects, get to know your peers because having your peers as support is a big deal. You guys can just bounce ideas off each other and kind of relay information, anything that you guys might have missed from one another. So I think that's a great idea to get to know your peers and create study groups, especially in math, because that was hard, at least for me. Okay, so question number 2 comes from JCB Hope. What's the best thing about being a warrior? I'm thinking this question can go over to Lauren. Lauren, would you be able to answer that?
Yeah, absolutely. I would say the best thing about being a Stan State Warrior is just knowing that I'm attending a college that cares about my education, my well-being, and knowing that they can give me all the resources and everything to me and my fellow warriors at a reasonable price. When I was going through high school and I'm looking at the cost of college, I was like, oh my gosh, like, no, thank you. It's so expensive. When I started looking at Stan State more and the financial aid that's offered and the grants, scholarship loans, and everything that's available and all the resources for being a small school, that's kind of what drew me in. And that's definitely the best part. I remember coming from a small elementary school, small middle school, small high school, small town. I was going to be super overwhelmed coming to a big university. I kept picturing big lecture halls where I'm just this little fish in a giant pond. But when I got to Stan State and went to my first class, the first day of my freshman year, I walked in and there was like 25, 30 students in my English class. And it was like, oh, this is like high school. I did high school just fine. Like, I'll be okay. And so I think that low student to faculty ratio is just really great. And it makes you feel at home at Stan State.
Cool. Thank you for sharing, Lauren. Does anybody else have a take on that real quick? No? Okay, cool. So our next question comes from Hey Leilani. What did you unexpectedly enjoy the most? I'm assuming that the question's kind of open. I'm assuming about your time here at Stan State. Jessica, would you be able to answer that?
Yes, of course. So a class that I would say I enjoyed the most, like I mentioned, I am a criminal justice major and my concentration is in juvenile justice. But as a criminal justice major, we do have prereqs like any other major may have. And one of our prereqs is CJ 2270, and that's criminal investigations. That's more of like for forensic science concentration. Like I said, I'm a juvenile justice concentration, but that by far has been one of my favorite classes ever to take. Every single lesson was so interesting to me. It was a 3-hour long class. I had it once a week, so it was 3 hours long. But the time would go by so quick because the lessons were so interesting to me. And we did have a couple projects, and they were also like very realistic and very hands-on. So I would say by far that was one of my favorite classes ever to take.
Awesome. Thank you, Jessica. All right. So we'll go ahead and move on to our next question, who comes from Dana B13. What is your best study technique? It seems like it's a 2-part question. So 1, what's your best study technique? And 2, how do you manage life with full-time student life? Josue, would you like to answer this question?
Yeah. So at least for my best study technique, I would definitely recommend flashcards. They're very handy, at least. And it kind of ties in with the whole having a full like student life. And then I also work, plus I'm a student athlete. So at least flashcards were the best thing for me because I would be able to walk from class to class. And even if the test was like a week ahead, I could always look through the flashcards from passing periods, as well as like after any kind of gaps I had in between periods, I could just look at those flashcards and just kind of quiz myself. If like you don't have a study buddy, definitely you could always quiz yourself through flashcards. It's kind of like, for me, it was like the best way, most efficient, accessible, and it's cheap. All you need is just flashcards and something to write with. And then as for like managing the whole full student, like 12 units or even more, and then being a student like athlete as well as working on campus, I would definitely recommend is just focus on what you're doing at the moment. Don't get distracted by other things. Maybe turn off your phone. or just kind of, if your friends are distracting, just kind of stay away from your friends, find a quiet place on campus. We do have a lot of quiet places on campus. At least my favorite place was a locker room. Since there was nobody in there, I would always just go in the locker room. We have a couch in there, and I would just study the whole time or do homework or whatever I had to do. So I would definitely, the main thing is just focus on what you're doing at the moment so you could do the next thing that's coming up.
Great. Thank you for sharing, Josue. All right. So let's move on to our next question, which comes from Brittany85 Ann. For those of you who went to a junior college first, was it a big adjustment going to a state college? So I'll go ahead and answer this. I was actually a transfer student myself. I transferred from Modesto Junior College. I think that your junior college experience is just as beneficial as your state college experience. If not, it's setting the tone for the rest of your 2 years. You're learning the foundational skills that pretty much you're going to end up applying to your junior and your senior year. So I think if anything, junior college actually prepares you to transfer over to the CSU. So when you're ready to start, you're just locked in and focused on what it is that you're majoring in, which is most likely going to be what you're mostly interested in. So it's kind of a really smooth transition that way. So that's my advice. All right, let's see here. Our next question comes from Olivia Forever 16. A checklist for what to do before we start. Some things that I could recommend, you want to check your email, buy your books ahead of time. I think it's probably super beneficial if you can buy your books ahead of time on Amazon. That's what I started doing. It does save you a little bit of money. And then also make sure that when your professor emails you your syllabus, the syllabus is law in college, I'm telling you. If all the rules are in there, so if you mess up and you don't follow the rules, your professor is most likely going to tell you were supposed to look at your syllabus. Everything's inside your syllabus. So that's a big rule. So those are my tips. If anybody has anything else to add, maybe? Nah, it's cool. All right. Okay. So our next question comes from _Janae_. Where's the best place to eat after a stressful day? Oh, I think you're on mute, Lauren. Or, sorry. Yeah.
I love food, and I'm definitely a stress eater, so I love this question. If I had to choose a place on campus, main dining has some bomb pasta, and it's pretty cheap, so you can't go wrong there. But one of the plus sides of Turlock is there's literally food options everywhere, and you can get basically whatever you want, like Mexican food, pizza, burgers, Thai food. There's downtown little areas if you want like more of a restaurant feel. We have tons of fast food. We got In-N-Out and like 5 different Starbucks all close to campus. But if I had to choose one, probably say either In-N-Out or Starbucks. I love me some Frappuccinos and some good burgers.
Nice. Thanks for sharing, Lauren. Okay, so our next question comes from Ash GC. Do you guys have any self-care tips for finals? Stephanie, maybe you can answer that.
Yeah, so I definitely think it's important to take care of yourself when you're doing finals, especially since most of the time people tend to get stressed or overwhelmed because there is a lot of studying you have to do and work to turn in on time. So definitely just focusing on making sure you stay hydrated, make sure you drink your water, make sure you get enough rest. I know people tend to stay up late, but I really think it's important you get at least your 8-7 hours maybe 6 hours of sleep. But just make sure you do get your sleep. If you're a girl, have a spa day, or anyone who likes spas, like we do little spa days. Really just take care of yourself so you're prepared for what's to come. But I really think it's important that you do take care of yourself. Like, of course, school is important, but you're also important. Just keep that in mind.
Great advice, Stephanie. Thank you. Okay, so our next question comes from JCB Hope. What's the best part of being a student at Stan State? I'm thinking Josue can answer this question.
Okay, so I think the best part about being a student at Stan State, I think like Lauren mentioned, it's it's not as crazy of a difference as going from high school to a big university. We're a pretty small campus. You can connect with your professors and all your classmates if you want to. All you got to do is just say hi the first day, and then everybody will start talking to you. So as long as you kind of reach out, make a little bit of effort of kind of reaching out, put yourself out there, get a little bit out of your, like, outside your comfort zone, you'll be able to, you won't feel like a small fish in a big ocean. You'll feel like you actually belong there. You feel like it's part of your family. The school just kind of becomes like your second home at that point. So I think for me, the best part about it is definitely how small of a campus we are and how close students can get to each other, as well as like even faculty or other staffs. You become friends with them at that point. And there's a lot of opportunities on campus. There's a lot of jobs that you could obtain, a lot of clubs you can join, and it's just very diverse. We're a very diverse campus as well. So there's a little bit of everything there that you'll find your place as long as you kind of get yourself out there a little bit.
Thank you for sharing, Josue. All right, let's go on to our next question. So Ray Chillman Broza wants to know, how do you stay involved with Stanislaus State during quarantine? Any suggestions? Lauren, could you answer this for us?
Yeah, I would say the biggest thing staying involved is like following the social media accounts. Basically, every department or program or whatever has some sort of like Instagram account or Twitter or even Facebook. And so I found it really fun this summer just to keep up with them. They will post giveaways and stuff, or I think the girls soccer team is doing like a read aloud of like different stories that talk about diversity and culture and things like that. And so it's been really fun to follow along with that, and it still makes you feel like you're at campus, though you're not at campus. And then another thing is just wear red on Wednesdays. That's typically what we do anyway for Wear Wednesdays. And so I like to keep it up. Why not? It just helps you like rep your school and feel like you're a part of something, even though you're not necessarily on campus. So that's just been something that I've done to kind of still feel like a warrior.
Thanks for sharing, Lauren. So one of the questions we got from our live chat is, what types of jobs are available on campus, and how is it working on campus? Can one of my student warriors answer this question for the person in the chat?
So I could go ahead and answer that one. We have a variety of different jobs on campus.
Just
like
maybe cutting
website
a bit. Is there so we're having a little bit of technical difficulties. Would somebody else be able to step in for a moment?
Yeah, so we do have, I know she was trying to say that we do have a lot of jobs on campus, specific jobs that are still being offered right now. I'm not sure which ones exactly are like still being offered, but I know there are some on campus jobs. Personally, I love working on campus. It works great with your schedule as a student. Like my job, for example, I started off as just a tour guide, so I was able to, tours will last like 2 hours in total with like a Q&A and the whole panel, the whole tour of the campus. So I would be able to go to class, have a 2-hour break and work during that break, and then go back to my next class. So hopefully once things open up, I would definitely suggest getting a job on campus. They are super great for being a student, and you also don't work like 40 hours. You actually are only allowed to work the 20 hours a week, which is also good for being a student.
Great. Thank you, Stephanie. Sorry about that, Jessica. You started cutting out a little bit, and we didn't want to leave the student hanging, but we appreciate you putting the effort, though.
Thank you. I just wanted to add on to what Stephanie was saying as well. I feel like finding a job on campus is also like a really good way of interacting with new students. For example, I work in the same office that Stephanie does.
I think we might be losing you.
People, and you might end up. Oh no! Just people.
Okay, hopefully we can catch you in a minute, and hopefully everything will kind of correct. Okay, let's go back to our questions. Let's see here. All right, Couponista wants to know, how do you join a sorority in the university, and what do you need to do to qualify? I've never actually joined a sorority. Has anybody, have any of you warriors joined a sorority? No?
I haven't personally joined a sorority, but I have had friends that have joined, and I attended an info session with her. And so, like, there's some of the sororities that do, I think it's Pan-Hellenic. I don't know if I said that right. But they have info sessions where you can go and just check it out. You'll find out tons of information. Sororities and fraternities are always handing out like flyers and things to find out more. And some tells me they'll be posting stuff on their Instagrams and stuff like that as well to kind of keep students in the loop and how to join. I know there's typically like a big weekend thing that they do. I'm not sure exactly how it'll all work out with not being on campus, but it's definitely something to look into because I know my friends have had a great time through their sororities and fraternities.
Cool. Thank you for sharing, Lauren. All right, so we have our first winner. All right, so our winner is, let's see here. Oh, I lost the name. Sylvia Pimentel. So congrats, Sylvia. You're going to be hooked up with a hoodie so that you can rock in the fall time. Please, what you can do is send us an email from your Stan State email with your mailing address and shirt size so that we can go ahead and mail that over to you. Again, congrats. For those of you still watching, stay tuned. We're going to be answering some more questions in addition to giving another sweatshirt away, so stick around. Okay, so let's move on. We have a question from Madi05H. What's the best advice to handle 5 classes? That's a lot of classes. So I'm thinking either Jessica or Stephanie, whoever wants to start first.
So last semester, actually, I took 7 classes. 2 were 1 unit, so in total it was only the 17 units. But thanks to Jess, actually, Jess is the one who taught me this. I used to always buy planners and I would not use them, or I would use them once in a while. But she taught me a technique, and I think she should explain it, but it helped me a lot. Like every day I would just check into my planner and then I already knew everything I had to get done. So it was really helpful. So Jess, if you want to go ahead and explain that.
Okay, so if I cut off, I'm sorry, my Wi-Fi is acting up right now. But I do have a super cool technique that I personally like. I do like to buy planners every start of a new school year. I like to buy the type of planners that have the pages where it's the full month, and then you scroll a couple pages, and then it's each date with like different lines so you can write on. And I like to buy different colored pens. So depending on how many classes I'm taking, I assign a color to each class. So with that, I'll just have a color for each class, so I'll know what color represents each class. So for example, I also have abbreviations for stuff. So let's say, for example, I have a reading that is due on Friday or something like that. For a certain class, I'll put an R for reading due, depending on the color for the class. And let's say, if, for example, I have an exam that same day. For a different class, I'll put E for exam and the color of the class that it's for. That way I know like what class it's for and exactly what I have to do. And then on the other pages where you can actually write down what you have to do, that's where I go into further detail on what exactly I have to do. So for example, for my readings, I'll put how many pages I have to read, or for my exam, what chapters I have to focus on for when to study. And it's just something that has helped me out so much these last 3-4 years. And it definitely keeps me very organized. I don't get stressed out looking at my planner, seeing so much writing all over it. So it's just a cool little technique that I figured out. And of course, I like to share it with my friends to see if it helps them out as well.
Super organized. Thanks for sharing, Jessica. All right, let's move on to another one of our live questions. Where do you apply for jobs on campus?
You can go to the human resources site. Like, I think the easiest way, go to csustan.edu, go to the A through Z directory, click on H, go to human resources, and then there's student employment. And you can click there, and there's like one general application. And then you're also able just to see all of the student assistant positions that are available. And then there's also work study positions too. So human resources is usually the easiest way for me to find them.
Thanks, Lauren. All right. Okay, so Daniela _29 wants to know, what do you like most about Stan State? Jessica, can you speak on this?
Yes. So definitely I would say just how much of a welcoming campus it is. I definitely always feel welcomed as soon as I'm there. Going off of what Lauren and like Josue were saying, for example, it's definitely a place where you don't feel like you're just nobody there, for example. I definitely, my first 2 years, I want to say my first year, second year, I would definitely just go to school just because I had to go to my classes, I had to get my work done, and then I would just leave. So I wasn't as social as I wanted to be. But definitely getting a job on campus helped me open up, helped me interact with new people. So it definitely taught me that there's literally people out there who you can just say hi to and you can create new friendships with them. So it's definitely something that I've enjoyed from campus, just how much of a welcome space it is and how social people are, and how much it has just taught me to put myself out there and to know that I'm not going to be judged for saying hi to a person. Or if I see someone in the bathroom, for example, and I like their shoes, go ahead and tell them, oh, hey, I like your shoes. And they're not going to judge you just because you say that. So it's definitely just, I love my campus. I'm not even going to lie. I love my campus. It was definitely something going in that I debated whether I wanted to stay close to home or not. But I think San State has been the best decision I have made. And I love making new friends.
Great. Thank you for sharing, Jessica. Okay, so we have another live question. People are really interested about jobs, anything job related with campus. So let's see. Our question is it possible to work 2 jobs while being a full-time student at Stan? Can somebody take the lead on this and kind of speak on it?
Yes, so you can have 2 jobs. The only thing is, since you are only allowed to work the 20 hours a week as a student, just because like statistics show that a successful student could only work up to a maximum of 20 hours. You can say for example you're working 2 jobs, you could split those jobs into like 10 hours in one job, 10 hours in another one. Or say like one job you're able to work like the 12 hours, 15 hours, and the other job only offers you like 5 hours that week. Then you could just it's just like dividing the hours up, but you could have, I'm sure, more jobs, multiple jobs on campus. Just has to stay within the 20 hours.
Okay, thanks for sharing that advice, Stephanie. We did get another live question. What's the best way to build rapport with professors? I'll kind of start, and if anybody else has a take, feel free to chime in. You just talk to your professors. Obviously, some of the classes that you're in, you're more interested than others. And that's an opportunity to just kind of talk to them, ask them questions about, what they may be doing besides teaching. Some of your professors are actually out doing practical, work experience. They're out in their own field. So you may just want to talk to them, ask them questions that you may have stirring in your brain about how to get a job. Just kind of, choose a time to either even stop by their office hours. Everybody will let you know their office hours, and that's a great time to stop in. And if you just have something you want to address in private between you and the professor, even if it's just about being able to keep up with the class, don't be shy. Reach out to your professors, even by email. It's a good way to introduce yourself, let them know, where you're at and where you want to be. And most of your professors want to see you succeed. They're advocates. They're here to cheer you on. So don't be scared. Ask your professors questions. Get to know them. They're great people. Does anybody have anything they want to share?
I would say professors. Sorry, Josue. I would say professors.
It's okay.
Definitely remember your face as well. So if you are struggling in the class, don't be scared to go to their office hours, and they're definitely going to remember your name a lot more if you do just pop in and ask a question or so.
Cool. Thanks, Jessica. Okay, so let's answer another question we got from Vici 1987. What was something that you would have liked to have known on your first semester? So I'm sure one of our student assistants, either Lauren, Jessica, or Josue, can answer this question for you.
I'll help out answer that question. So like we mentioned before, definitely office hours are a big deal. Definitely try to figure out your professor's office hours and go to them. at least another thing that helped me out, like the first semester I was there, I was a freshman, I was new, I was like, okay, I'm a little scared. So I got my syllabus from my professors about a week early. Sometimes they'll send it through email, or they're posted on Blackboard about a week before school starts. So I went through my syllabus. I saw the books I needed. I bought all of them. Some classes I did not use the book at all. So I would recommend you definitely do some research, as well as even when you're buying books, buy the books, like do research maybe on Chegg, Amazon, all these other different websites. Buy the cheapest one. There's a lot of these companies compete for prices. So try to find the cheapest one. If you can't find it, we also have our bookstore on campus where you can buy books. But I would also recommend is just maybe go to class the first day. If it's like you think that you might not need the book, go to class the first day or two, and then just see if you actually need the book. Sometimes you won't. You could even like find a buddy where you could like, just kind of borrow a book or stuff like that. Save yourself some money that way. But definitely do research on the books. Sometimes you don't need them, sometimes you do. Especially since we're going online, it's going to be a little different. So most of it might be through like Connect assignments or ebooks, but definitely do your research on that stuff. I would recommend that.
Great advice. Great advice. Does anybody else want to add anything?
I was the person my freshman year that read everything that was listed on the syllabus, like word for word, took in-depth notes, went to all my classes, which is important, but I read the textbooks like front to back, and I had so many all-nighters my freshman year, or 4 a.m.s or 2 hours of sleep. Like, it was miserable. Would not suggest it. Read the important stuff. Whether it's skimming it and taking like, oh, you know what, he's probably going to ask about this, it's been brought up multiple times. Just, you kind of are going to get a feel for the class. Do what you're supposed to for the class, but don't bother about reading every single word and taking these long in-depth notes. Figure out what works for you. But don't do too many all-nighters. It's not fun. It'll make your college experience miserable. Just don't.
Thanks for sharing, Lauren. Okay, so I think with that, I think that's good enough. We'll move on to our next question. Okay, so let's see. From Team Christy 1 asks, as a student in your senior year, are you already looking for a job you want? Also, are you applying? Have teachers been your advocate in assisting that you get the dream job that you want? I'm gonna ask Lauren one more time. Lauren, do you have some advice on this?
Sure. I would say in your senior year, it's just a crazy time. You're in this thing where you're like, what am I going to do next? Oh my gosh, I'm going to be like a full-fledged adult. You thought you were an adult at 18. You're not. It kind of hit me definitely in like September when I was applying for graduation last year. And I was like, oh my gosh, like it's coming. And you're figuring out if you're going to go continue your education and get a master's degree or doctorate or credential program, or if you're going to go straight into the workforce. And I would say that, it's something to kind of be thinking about throughout your entire time while you're in college. Like, what do you want to do next? Because if you plan on going to graduate school, like you have to plan ahead. You have to apply early. But there's so many resources at Stan State too that are able to help you out with figuring out what you want to do. The professors are a great resource, but also the Career Center. They have aptitude tests. They have interview help. They have like the nice clothes that you're supposed to wear to interviews. There's just so many different resources. They can hook you up with internships if that's something that your field requires, or even jobs. And so I think it's a matter of you just utilizing those resources and asking your professors, being comfortable talking to your professors about that, or in this case, emailing them. Just being proactive and searching for yourself, figuring out what you want to do next, because there are so many options out there.
Great. Thank you for sharing, Lauren. Our next question kind of bounces off of that, so I'll go ahead and answer it too. The next question comes from Steelers Girl 43. Any great professors to take while attending? Yeah, for sure. I can let you know. Dr. Ann Strom, she teaches sociology. Shout out to Dr. Ann Strom. She wrote one of my my letters for graduate school, so big shout out to her. So if you're interested in sociology, definitely check her out. Also, shout out to Dr. Tamar Snezik. I took one of my senior seminar with her, but she definitely shared some great tips on how to move forward after your education ends in regards to building a resume, as far as connecting with your professors to get those letters of recommendation. She also wrote one of my letters of rec, so it's nice to at least give her a quick mention, let her know that, because of her, I'm here now. So with that being said, let's move on to our next question. Unless anybody has any other professors they want to give a shout out real quick too.
I do.
Yeah.
Miss Gishard, she is amazing. She is for psychology. She's amazing, great. Also for communication, Carranza, he's amazing too. And then if you're doing like GEs, if you're trying to do philosophy, Albright, he's amazing too. Yeah.
Cool. Thank you, Stephanie. All right, so Shay, Danny wants to know, are there any tips on balancing school, work, and social life? Josue, would you be able to answer this?
Yeah. So like Lauren and Jessica mentioned before, they have a planner themselves. I do too. I create I have a schedule. I create my planner. Sometimes I don't have like an actual specific book for it. It might just be like a piece of binder paper where I just write what I'm doing for the day. So definitely get the stuff that is necessary, that you need, is like mandatory to get done first. Get that done. But always try to leave gaps for yourself for lunch. Lunch is necessary. If you don't eat food, you're not going to think right. You're not going to be doing your homework right. So take care of yourself in that aspect. Give yourself maybe 15, 20-minute breaks at some point while doing homework. Go for a walk on campus, or go for a run, or just kind of do what you like. If you like to maybe play games on your computer, do that for a little bit. Not for too long, but just for a little bit, just to distract yourself, get yourself clear your mind out for a little bit and all that stuff. Just kind of find the balance in between yourself. Definitely try to get 8 hours of sleep. Sometimes that's not possible, but sleep is very important when you're in college, just because your brain is functioning all the time. You're in class probably about 8 hours a day, or if you're working as well, or if you're doing sports, definitely get 8 hours of sleep. Let your body recover, your brain relax a little bit, so you could wake up the next day and feel healthy, not tired, and kind of ready for the day. So I'd recommend, if there's one thing I recommend, is sleep and eat right. That's kind of the one thing I recommend. Eat stuff that's nutritious. There's certain foods that'll help your brain kind of heal up a little bit. I know walnuts are good. Almonds, just kind of protein stuff, just really helps you recover and focus. So sleep and eat well. I would recommend that.
All right. Yeah, sleep good and eat well for sure. So our next question comes from Dana B13. Any tips for business majors? So here at Stan State, we have what's called our Student Success Center, and it's dedicated specifically to our business majors. So there you can get academic and career advising. They also host things like career preparation activities. I'm assuming like mock interviews. But please feel free to check out the Student Success Centers. They have an IG handle. It's at CBA, so that's C as in cat, B as in business, A as in apple, _SSC. So please give them a follow for all of your business major related needs, I guess. But let's move on. Let's keep it going with the questions. Let's move on to Cheyenne Rash. He's asking tips for taking classes online instead of person. Lauren or Josue, would you be able to answer this?
Okay, so I'll go first and then I'll let Lauren go. So tips I recommend is read the syllabus for sure. I had a class, this is an example, since we just started online classes last semester during the spring of 2020, I had a stats class where from the start, even before the whole COVID thing started and we went online, everything was due at the end of the semester. So it was kind of like a hybrid class. It was still a little bit online, but then we still had lectures and stuff going on. But I procrastinated a little bit. I wasn't doing my homework at the beginning of the semester. So then I had to cram everything towards the end of the semester when we actually went online. So what I recommend is definitely find your space at home. Maybe if you have a desk in your room or something like that, or even if your patio is quiet, go outside. It's nice to feel the fresh air, the sunlight. Find a space in your house where we could do homework and focus for a couple of hours without being bothered by your siblings or your mom or your dog or even your grandparents or whatever. I know that might be a little bit hassle. Your mom might be calling you to do chores or something. You're like, hey mom, I'm in class. I gotta focus now. But definitely find a space for you to be able to focus and then stay on top of it. I know it's easy to kind of lose track of things and be like, okay, I don't have to go to class just because it's online and it's easy not to show up. Or you might just have it on but not actually be there. So I definitely recommend attending the lectures. You'll learn a lot from them. and just stay on top of it. Try to do it. If you have homework that day, try to finish that homework that day so it doesn't catch up to you at the end of the semester. And I had to stay up, I think, like 2 days. It was about like I stayed up for about 32 hours trying to finish that math homework. I did pretty well, but I would not recommend that. Don't do it. Just kind of do it on a daily basis. It's easier to do an hour of homework than have to do 32 hours of homework in one cram. So, yeah.
Cool. Thanks for answering, Josue. Does anybody else have any other tips they want to add?
I agree with pretty much everything Josue said. Another thing, always make sure you're muted. I had so many classmates that would start talking in the middle of lecture and then like be watching TV off to the side, and then all of a sudden like everybody's like looking around like, who's doing that? And then like they'd be like, oh no, like mute themselves. Or we have family members at home now because like I have younger siblings that are distance learning too, and so like they would come barging in my room and I'm in the middle of class, and so we actually came up with a system of, we made signs that said like do not disturb or Zoom meeting in progress, or I'm in class, or I'm like deep in homework, something, so that way we would know like not to just barge into each other's rooms, because there's 4 of us and we're all doing this distance learning thing. But yeah, I mean, I pretty much everything Josue said was spot on.
Cool. Thanks, Lauren. I wish those signs would work for my dog when I'm trying to be in a Zoom meeting. Okay, so up next, we have a question from Brandy_0320. What are some tips on managing 4 classes while working 25 hours a week and trying to keep your social life going? This is kind of it's a lot of questions at once. Is living near a campus also a great option to stay focused and connected? Jessica, would you be able to speak on this a little bit?
Yes, definitely. So as I was saying earlier for one of the other questions, my first 2 years of college, I was actually working at a restaurant. So I was working anywhere from like 25 to 30 hours a week while still being a full-time student, taking 5 classes. I managed to take my classes, however, though, only Tuesdays and Thursdays. However, I would still work Mondays, Wednesdays, Fridays, Sundays, and sometimes even Saturdays. So I was pretty occupied all week long. So really, I only had maybe like 1 day off from both school and work during the week. So it would get kind of hectic for me. The good thing, though, was when I would work mornings. That way I could have the afternoon just to focus on school or anything else I had to do around the house maybe. And Saturdays, I would just kind of take them as like a me day. So if I wanted to go out, I would go out, just use it as a day to distract myself and, just de-stress myself. But definitely, I would say my biggest tip is to always try and look at the positive side to it, and always keep in mind that the job that you might be in right now won't be your forever job. You are going to school, to get the job of your dreams. And there's definitely more opportunities out there, so don't think that you might be stuck in a place. Always take your mental health into consideration. And if something isn't really working for you, then let it go. Like I said, there's plenty of other opportunities out there for you. Like, for example, myself, the job on campus is definitely a biggest blessing to get that job. And just keep yourself sane, and also just surround yourself with good people and people who will support you throughout your whole journey.
Dude, we're getting some great advice right now from our warriors. But it's time for another giveaway. So what I'm going to ask for y'all to do is drop your major in the chat. If you don't have a major at this time, that's totally fine. Not everybody has to have everything figured out right now. Just go ahead and state that you're undeclared, and we'll be announcing the winner in just a few minutes. With that information, we can kind of go on to our next question in the meantime. So Nancy Rangel asks, how do I know which books will be needed to purchase for class? Is it better to purchase ahead of time or wait? So we did kind of speak on this a little bit, but I think Jessica might have some more advice to offer us.
Definitely. So I know it also kind of depends. There's a lot of people who like getting their books and getting everything ahead of time. I personally like waiting because, like Josue was saying earlier, there may be times where you won't need the book. A really good thing, though, is that you can check on your portal if you are going to need a book for a class. However, like I said, sometimes I like to wait because Sometimes you might not actually need the book for the class, or sometimes the edition it says on the portal isn't actually the edition your professor wants. There's even times where you get a super cool professor who actually purchases the book for the class and they leave it in the reserve desk in the library. So you can actually use that book. You can check it out for up to 2 hours. You can make copies. You can take pictures. You can just utilize it however you need to. But I personally like waiting until like the first day of schools for our professor to let us know if we need it. Or like we were saying earlier, professors do put up the syllabuses up like weeks prior to when you are going to start class. So sometimes they do already have it on there whether you are going to need a book or not. So I like waiting, but it's also not a bad idea to get ahead of it.
That's great. Thanks, Jessica. And you were saying that you could find your books, the books that you need in your student portal. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, cool. So that's where you can find what books you need for your fall classes. So be sure to stay active in your student portal. Also check your student email all the time because really important updates come from the university. So just be sure to be active in checking your email consistently. Our next question comes from Carter, who asked, with not being on campus, what's the best way to get into study groups? So this is all kind of new for everybody, right? This has never really been done before where mostly everything is online. But I have taken an online class before. So I'm assuming you're going to have an opportunity to have what they call like group discussions, which I'm pretty sure they're going to end up putting you guys like in a chat or like some sort of thread where you guys will be working off for example, the professor will give you like a case study and then you guys will have to kind of address it. And then in that way you can start getting introduced to the different answers that your classmates may be providing. Or you might even just do like breakout sessions in a Zoom where I'm sure that you guys will end up being kind of like in this gallery view, like we're doing right now. So you'll have an opportunity to probably meet your peers virtually, which is different. I mean, we're in a different time right now where technology is what's in. So yeah, we just got to roll with the punches. Does anybody else have anything to add on that? It's cool. No worries. No pressure. Okay, so our next question comes from Milana _ Cook. We all know keeping on top of studies is imperative. What has been the most important non-academic thing students have done to feel that their college experiences is more rounded, not hyper-focused on the schoolwork? Lauren, could you speak on that?
Yeah, I mean, it's as cliche as it sounds, like getting involved can make all the difference, whether it's on campus, off campus, like just doing something that kind of fills that want and need for some non-academic stuff. So I mean, getting a job on campus, getting involved in sororities, fraternities, or the multiple clubs that we have on campus. Just those build connections with people and build connections for future things too. Personally, I mean, with working on campus, that was one thing. But then I volunteer on the weekends at my church, and I also work there, but I volunteer some hours too. And so that was just another way for me to do non-academic things. But at the same time, it also prepares me for my future profession. It adds to my resume. It gives me just other things to look forward to rather than just eat, school, work, sleep, like just all those, like getting in the routine of things, having those other little things to look forward to just really helped me out.
Great. Thank you for sharing, Lauren. So yeah, it seems like we're kind of getting a real feel for it. We got a lot of the same questions that are coming in. So, there's a theme there. Student planners are important, right? Make sure you check your syllabus, check your student email. Get involved on campus. I mean, that's a big deal. So once we're back on campus, just take part in the things that interest you. This is your time to step outside of your comfort zone. I will say that, now that I'm older, I do regret kind of not being so involved in my campus. I kind of just, I was more or less a commuter student. So I just kind of went to school, did what I had to do, and I had to leave and go to work and stuff. But I missed out on that opportunity. And this is the perfect time to do those things because you meet people, you just broaden your interest, you meet diverse people, and, it really does contribute to your college experience. But let's see if we can announce our winner right now. So it looks like our winner is Melanie Chavez. So Melanie Chavez, thank you for tuning in right now. Please send us your student email address along with your physical address, your home address that we can send your sweatshirt to along with your size so that we make sure we lace you up real quick. Let's see, I'm thinking we're gonna get some more questions from the chat too. So let me see what people are saying. Does anybody have, any of our student warriors right now, does anybody have any tips that they want to mention on their own, just something that maybe we haven't got to or addressed?
I do want to add that just how, as Lauren mentioned, we do have a lot of clubs on campus, and you should be able to find those on social media. I am actually I'm an officer for a club. I was last year and I will be again this year. So I kind of got used to the transition from like being physically there to now doing everything online. But if you do want to join my club, Catholic Student Association, we welcome anyone, so anyone is welcome to join. But there is clubs for just about anything. There is even like a peanut butter and jelly club. So if you're wondering if there's a club for something you like, there is. So go ahead and just look into that. And it's just another way to be also involved on campus.
Great, thank you for answering that, Stephanie. So I do have a live question that came from the chat, so hopefully one of you guys can answer it for us. Do we have festivals or other live events on campus?
I can go ahead and answer that. So we actually do hold Warrior Day, which is just a day right before finals in May. So they bring performers over. We've had like E40, Sage the Gemini, Pitbull. We've had a whole bunch of different artists come. They do have a whole bunch of different activities. We've had zip lining, face painting. We've had like water related activities. And it's kind of just a way to basically prepare yourself for finals, but in like a more of a fun way. Not necessarily sure how that's going to work out this upcoming year, but we definitely do have different events that we hold on campus.
Thank you for sharing, Jessica. Yeah, I know for sure our campus is like super outgoing. I mean, everybody participates and wears red. On Wednesdays, we wear red, so that's the thing. Make sure that, once we're back on campus, you can visit the new student center. And there you can get some Stan State merchandise, maybe pick up a shirt so you can wear red on Wednesdays as well. For those of you who are still watching, we have a few more minutes to keep going, so please drop your questions in the chat and we'll see if we can answer them before we wrap everything up. So we'll move on to another one of our live questions. How can I find clubs? Can somebody answer that for me?
I want to say SLD, so the Student Leadership and Development, because they're the ones who are in charge of all of the clubs. So I would say check them out on Instagram. I'm not sure if they have other social medias. I only have Instagram, so I'm not sure. But yeah, you should be able to find the clubs there since they're the ones in charge of the clubs.
Yeah, thanks for sharing. So I'm pretty sure you can also go to the Warrior Hub to find clubs. So check that out as well. Let's see, we did get another live question. Let's see here. Okay, fun things on campus. Fun things on campus. You know what you should do if you're looking for fun things on campus? Follow ASI on social media to see the virtual events. They're always posting content on social media, which is great. I'll have to look for their handle in just a minute. But once I get that, I'll be able to provide it for you guys. Let's see, what else do we have? We also have, when campus opens back up, we do have intramural sports. So if you're looking to join some activity on campus, maybe you don't want to try out for one of the athletic teams, but you do want to go ahead and still participate in things like indoor soccer. We do have like intramurals. So you can go ahead and sign up and just play with other people that share the same interests. So feel free to check that out. Let's see here. I think that's going to be the end of our live session. Let me just take a minute and thank all of our student warriors that participated in today's YouTube. We have Lauren, Stephanie, Josue, Jessica. They did a great job at answering all the tough questions. So we appreciate you guys for being here and answering those for us. Again, thank you to everybody that's tuned in and watched. Again, we hope that you guys make the most out of your first semester. It's a big deal, being accepted into college, and you guys are going to do great. Please don't feel afraid to be connected to your professors. Everybody just wants to be helpful and see you thrive. And again, for all the students that tuned in and the winners, congratulations. And I think we're going to wrap this up, but I'll see you guys later. Have a good one, y'all.